live, another podcast episode. Um, it's just a snowy day today, and I don't know. Just thought I'd do another one of these, trying to put these out a little more. And um, as you can see today, we're in the party bus, my vehicle, and it's been kind of like a weird week, I guess. I mean, you had that dude who died from the Migos, and it just kind of made me start to think, like, not necessarily that I listen to him, because I don't want to be like those people who jump on the bandwagon and just pretend like they knew who they were. I didn't really listen to him, not gonna lie. But my point was that it's kind of crazy how when somebody famous or like an artist like that passes away, it kind of like makes people realize who they were, instead of like appreciating them for when they were alive. And this happens to like everybody. Like in a popular scenario would be like when Juice World died, everybody was like on him, everybody was remembering who he was, or saying that they miss him, or whatever it might be. And I would argue that when an artist like that passes away, or anybody passes away really, for like just a short, I mean, I guess it also depends on how much of an influence the person had, or like how big they were, but for just like a brief period in time, there's like there's a shift in like people's attention. They like want to stick with like what is popular, and sometimes it just goes, people go unappreciated until they sadly pass away. And it just kind of made me think, like, as a parent now, especially like me being a young one, like, I don't know if you guys have like the same issue, but I mean, I'm sure everybody does, but for me, sometimes I feel like what more can be done, like what am I not doing that is gonna, what am I doing, what am I not doing that will affect my son's life? And it's crazy that when you become a parent, you, for whatever reason, just constantly think about them. At least you should. There's people out there who don't, sadly. Like, there was this story that I saw not too long ago. It was like popular on Instagram, but these two twins were being held in the basement by their mother, and she handcuffed them. And along from like handcuffing them, she would wash them in like all the mop water that she would use. She wouldn't feed them. They had to eat their own shit. And then they escaped and found they went outside and ran and started knocking on everybody's door, and nobody wanted to answer. They all talked to him through like the ring cameras on the doors, and they were just asking for help pretty much. And one lady took them in and like got the whole story, on the kids, and like what they had been through. And in the video, like, you can tell that like on their wrists, that's like where the handcuffs were. And you could see that it's just been like bruises and scars, and it just, they all look malnourished. I think they were even like 16. They were like some pretty older kids. I mean, they were old enough to at least like be able to convey what they were trying to say, or what their parents did to them. But it's stories like that that make me think, if I was like some kind of different parent. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the best parent, but I at least try, and I think as a parent, as long as you try, that means an infinite amount of, it means so much to your kid. It means everything to him. And the shitty part about that story is that when the lady who took him in and helped him, uh, when she tried, I think she tried to like get custody of them or like put him into like a group home, something like that. Like she was just trying to help him out. And the state basically told her that they couldn't, like, they belonged to the mom and that they weren't going to get taken away by any means. And it's shitty that you obviously see what's going on. Like, you obviously can tell that these kids are going to get abused, if not even more, because uh they actually went out and seeked help, and now people will see these parents and think of them like they're crazy, and they still don't care. I mean, if you ask any normal parent who cares about their kids whether or not that's right or wrong, I think even if you ask anybody who has like a good moral understanding, they would think that it's wrong. But back to what I was saying, it kind of made me think, like, what am I doing and what am I not doing as a parent? Because like a popular topic now is Kanye, and he kind of made a point. I mean, not to saying I agree with whatever he's saying, or I don't even know like half the shit he's been saying, but I saw this video that where he's talking about how something that had to do with like his son, and his son is 6, and his son, since him and his girl aren't together anymore, like they're split up, they're just co-parenting or whatever the fuck they're doing, but the son somehow told him like something along the lines of why do I need to listen to you if you're not even here? And it kind of made me think, like, as a single parent, it's kind of shitty that sometimes no matter how much you want to work together, it just doesn't happen, you know? Whether the person is right or wrong, whether you're right, whether you're wrong, whether anybody's right or wrong, or sometimes we don't think of our kids first, you know? And that's something that I've tried to like change throughout my life, like especially now that I'm a dad to a 3-year-old, which is crazy. When I didn't realize that when they told you that they grow up so fast, like that they weren't lying. And I also saw this post that said it's hard to let go of all the phases you will see of your child. And honestly, it's kind of true, because when you look back at it and you think of all the things they used to listen to, all the things they used to say, you kind of miss that, you know? You kind of miss little them. You miss the innocence. You miss. And don't get me wrong, like, talking to my kid and having conversations is cool and all, but sometimes you just want to hold a little baby, you know? And it's just making me think, like, because I don't want my kid to not be proud of me, you know? I don't want. And honestly, I've been kind of like wanting to do a podcast like this for a while. I mean, maybe I just wanted to get it out or something, but I really wanted to talk about like what it's meant to me, or what I want to be as a dad. And I've always lived under like the rule or the thought that if you want to be a good parent, all you have to do is be the parent that you wanted. And I think that statement is true for anything, you know? If you want to be a good friend, be the friend you would want to. If you want to be a good husband, a good anything, be the one that you want to be, or be the one that you would want. And, you know, there's that popular quote by Gandhi that says, be the change you want to see in the world. And that goes towards anything. I mean, if you don't think of it as like a big whole thing, obviously, if you think of it like day to day, not a lot of people are going to change the world. Your average person is not going to go out there and change people's lives. They affect people day to day. And I think what Gandhi kind of meant by that, or what anybody means by that when they say that, is be the change you want to see in other people's world, as well as yours. You have to be open to the fact that not a lot of people are going to agree with what you're saying, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I think that's like where we have a huge issue, and that's why we have a huge issue nowadays, because so many people want to be controlling over what others think, over what others say. Like, not that I want to bash on anybody, but if you look at so many communities out there, whether it's the LGBT, whether it's feminists, whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement, whatever it is, any group of people, they're trying to feed you into their idea that what they're saying is right. And that's not necessarily me saying that they're wrong. All I'm saying is sometimes when someone doesn't agree on things, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're against. I was watching this interview, and it was with this gay, I don't remember what it was, but it was a conversation they were having with this gay dude, and they asked, and he was saying how sometimes he doesn't support the LGBTQ, and he doesn't like how he's classified in that, because nowadays what's going on is, like, part of the LGBTQ community is trying to get it into young people's heads that it's okay to make this massive change into who you want to be. And that's fine. Like, if you want to change, I don't mind you believing you're a woman, you believing you're anything. You could be a fucking dragon if you wanted to. But what he was saying is that him being gay just means that he loves men. He's just attracted to men sexually, physically, mentally, whatever. His thing is men. But he doesn't agree with the fact that there should be, or under the idea that it's okay for a child to, like, be open to the idea of, like, sex change. He doesn't think it's okay to just go over and, like, cut penises off to turn them into vaginas. He doesn't. And I could see how that would be an argument. Just because you're part of a community and you support it doesn't mean you necessarily have to put up with everything that they do, And sometimes it's kind of, like, rough for people to understand that, especially now. Like, just because somebody disagrees with what you're saying doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong. You might have been wrong your whole life, and you might have not even known it. So many people grow up on, like, different things and different beliefs, and sometimes you just, as long as people aren't affecting you, I think it shouldn't really concern you, whether it's right or wrong. And if you want to be part of a community, like, by all means, if you want to join, whatever it could be, if you want to be part of something, nobody should be able to say you can and can't do it. As long as you do your research, or even just have, like, a natural curiosity, knowing that, okay, I could be wrong about what I'm doing, but I'm going to be open to whatever this community or this group of people is telling me. That just makes all the difference. I can't just go into, like, a religious place and tell them what I believe, because over years and years and years, they've been, I don't know, reading out of a Bible, reading whatever it could be. But over years, they've had this. And I think that that's where a lot of people are, like, getting things wrong. We are getting to the point where, like, one idea is the correct one. And honestly, if it gets to that point, which is what I was kind of saying, it's, like, kind of scary to be, like, a parent at this point, because, at least for me, you have to be open to the fact that, for one, your kid is going to be exposed to so many things that you didn't get exposed to, as well as things you don't want them to get exposed to. And you kind of just have to have a conversation with them, obviously, once they're a little older and a little more understanding. I don't think you should cut them off from anything. I don't think you should. Oh, let me rephrase that. I don't think you should cut them off from being open to things. And that doesn't necessarily mean like, go show them all the porn in the world, go show them, like, because a lot of anything is bad. But what I'm trying to say is simply, as a parent nowadays, you kind of have to be open to the fact that they're not going to grow up as you. All their role models are different. When I was growing up, all my role models were like, or not even role models, just everything that I saw was just like in the movies and stuff was just big, buff. You got Sylvester Stallone, you got fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got Dolph Lundgren, you got fucking what was that fucker's name? Jean-Claude Van Damme. You got like all these dudes who were just, very, I mean, what would now be defined as like toxic masculinity. But the argument I was having the other day with this friend was, I think if we continue to go like down the path we're going, and it seems like there's no stopping it at this point, like the masculinity that we saw then is being like replaced with control. And I think as like men, being the mentally like weaker species, we are very susceptible to accepting our conditions. And what I mean by that is, if you have a group of people telling a certain individual, a dude, that something is wrong, if it's a big group and their argument is convincing enough, you're going to convince that dude. And whether it's right or wrong, or whether he thinks it's right, he will go and follow. Because as men, I think we're followers, and we just need somebody to look up to. So many people look up to their dad, and honestly, I would love my kid to be like, Dad, I want to be like you. And the crazy thing is that I remember telling my mom all the time is, I never want to be like my dad. Now, not to say that I didn't have a dad or anything like that, like, but I don't think my dad was like as emotionally or even like just physically like invested in to like anything that I did. There didn't seem to be like an interest in things. And instead of, and I guess the message that I'm trying to like give out is, instead of looking at it as a bad thing, like, use it as kind of a mental layout onto like on what you want to do and what you don't want to do, on what's right, what's wrong to you, what you believe, what you don't believe, and build on that. All this is just building. We're just building something better, hopefully, for people. And whether the world goes upside down tomorrow or fucking blows up the next day or whatever, none of this is gonna matter. Your pronouns aren't gonna matter. Your fucking what you identify as isn't gonna matter. All that matters is the people that you affected. And to me, I don't want to be that guy that my son looks at and is just like, oh yeah, that's just my dad. I actually want to do something. I actually want to like change. I actually want to, there's like this thrive that I have to like be better. And not only that, like, I think once you accept the fact that you can't change the way people think, or the way people perceive you as, or anything like that, but as long as you know that you're good at heart and that your intentions are good, like, nobody's gonna stop you from doing whatever you want to do. And we have to try to like not only better ourselves, but I think one thing that a lot of people, including like myself, is where we fail a little bit at is that we don't necessarily take constructive criticism very well. You know, especially nowadays, I think what you have to do is allow yourself to be like, okay, this is where I'm slacking, this is where I'm falling a little short. Maybe I could have woken up a little earlier, maybe I could have, you know, maybe I could have started sooner, maybe I could have done this. I mean, regardless, you're here now. So whatever happened in the past, that already happened. We have to be open to the fact that I am not that person anymore. I don't want to be that person. I want to change and be better. And whether I'm going to start today or tomorrow, it's only going to be up to me. Or a year from now, it's only going to be up to me. And I'm the only one that can affect what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say, and how I'm going to think. And that's not to say that you can't be open to any thoughts. You know, I can have a conversation with anybody, and I love to learn about how they think or how they perceive things. And I think it's a healthy way to kind of learn where you're at, because if you're the type of person who thinks a certain way, and when somebody comes up and challenges you about the way you're thinking and you get offended by that, that shouldn't, I think that is like something that, back to what I was saying, is you have to self-reflect and take that constructive criticism and make it into like something new. You, if somebody comes up and challenges your way of thinking and you take that as a bad way, I don't think your way of thinking was that strong at all. If you can back up your arguments and if you can back up who you are and what you think, then it shouldn't matter what other people think, you know? It shouldn't matter whether somebody doesn't call me my pronouns, somebody doesn't like me, somebody doesn't say this about me. That shouldn't matter. If you know who you are and the group of people you surround yourself with, because that's important too. We need to surround ourselves with people we want to be or people that we want to come up with, you know? And that's not to say that people won't come and go, you know? A lot of people come and go. And sometimes you wish they didn't. And if that is the case, where you have someone or something that you're missing, whether they passed away, whether they broke up with you, whether they're gone, whatever it could be, whether they moved away, I think the healing process starts with you, you know? Looking back at what you did wrong, what you could have done better, what you could have said, what you could have said. And if, for example, if you're missing someone, I think the best way to start healing is to either message them or call them, talk to them, but you definitely have to talk to them. And not for them. Don't go in it thinking, I'm going to get back with them, I'm going to fix this, because sometimes things aren't meant to be fixed, and that's okay. Like, you have to realize that sometimes things and people are lessons, things you need to learn, things you need to do that'll make you better. And back to what I was saying is, if you're on bad terms with someone and you don't want to be, or maybe you think it's wrong or whatever, and I tell anybody this, it starts with you. Like, forget all your ego bullshit, forget all your selfish whatever, forget that. What you have to do is say what you want to say. That way it doesn't bother you or come back to bite you in the future, you know? Let's just, for example, I'm broken up with somebody, I miss them so much, and there's so much I want to say to him, but I don't even want to text him because I am not going to be the person to text him. The phone goes both ways. The fucking phone call goes both ways. It doesn't matter whether you're on bad terms with anybody. If you genuinely care about like healing and stuff, you have to be the stronger person and be like, look, I miss you, this and that, whatever. It could be I miss you. It doesn't, like, missing somebody is not a big issue. I don't get when like missing someone became such a huge deal. And whether it gets fixed or not, and whether you get the outcome you want or you don't want, you are going to walk away knowing that you left nothing unsaid, that you said everything you had to. And whether it was right or wrong, or whether they agreed with you or not, whether you got back with them or not, at least in your head, you're at peace knowing that that chapter, that part of my life is, I'm okay with. I got everything that I had to say out. What if it'll be, it'll be. If not, then that just goes to show, for one, it was never gonna work out if it didn't, and for another one, that person genuinely cares about you. If they did try to like fix things with you, they see that you're trying, and that's all that it is. It's just trying. Like, I don't get when not trying became like the norm, you know? Because now, like, there's a like the whole thing of like matching energies. You shouldn't be matching anybody's energy. You should be on your own energy, you know? Whether a person hurts you, you should be the same person regardless. Obviously, you got to learn, take your lessons, you know, but you have to be the same kind of person that they fell for or that they wanted to be with to start. And that's not saying that you can't be open to new ideas, and that's not saying that you can't change, because that's another thing that I think we get wrong all the time is like, people can't change, and people do change. People change all the time. And I think we just stopped caring about that at some point, you know? We see everybody out here with like all their cars, all their happy families, all their whatever, and we want that, and that should be a goal that you strive for, whether it's a car or whether it's whatever you want. Like, that should be the thing that drives you, instead of looking at it like, oh, look at this fucker, he has all these cars and doesn't do shit with them. Like, you be the person that has all the cars and doesn't do shit with them. Why can't you do that? Why are you holding yourself back? And if it's, like I said, and if it's like a breakup with you, I'm literally telling you what worked for me in the past is that you have to self-reflect and be like, okay, I did this wrong. These were my shortcomings. This is where I improved. This is where I can do better. And you have to also go up to the person, go up to the thing, go up and left nothing unsaid. Because I think ultimately that's what kind of kills us, and that's why a lot of us feel like a little bit dead inside, is because we have a lot of issues and disagreements and just things that we wish we would have said or done. And ultimately, my idea and my thought is, if I were to pass away, let's say 10, 20, 30 years from now, whatever it could be, whenever I'll die. I mean, I would hope not tomorrow, but you never know. Anyways, my thought is, if there is like a God up there, or if there is a heaven or anybody that's up there, even if it's something that like we don't understand, right? If somebody's up there and I could talk to him and be like, where was I supposed to be? And he shows me a list like of all the things I was supposed to do and all the things that I was supposed to become had I taken different routes. I would want that list to be as short as possible. I would want him to be like, you were supposed to be a deadbeat dad. You were supposed to be a nobody, but somehow, some way, you fucking turned it around and look at this list. Look at all this list you've done. Look at all these things you did. Somehow, some way, I want to be remembered for somebody who just cared, who just tried, you know, who understood, who was open to new ideas. And I think for me, my passion and what I want to do is start off with like this podcast. You know, I'm here just talking to myself through a camera, but it doesn't change anything. Like, whether I'm going to be here or in a studio, like my old apartment that I had, I don't know if you guys remember, like when I had that, it doesn't matter. These conversations are going to be the same. And whether you talk to me in person or not, the person you are seeing through camera is the same thing I would tell you face to face. And that's where we as people have established that we are like, people exist on social media and in real life like two different ways. We are not the same. We put up this persona up online because it's so easy to just hit send, other than to face somebody, face to face, and have them tell you how they feel, and then you get all embarrassed and then you get all shy. Like, that's the things that we need to see, and that's where things are wrong. Sometimes people say things online that they don't even mean, or that they don't even believe. They just go with the norm. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, just because you see a post online and it has millions and billions of likes and hits and views doesn't necessarily mean that you have to see it that way. And if you think it's wrong, or if you think it's right, and if you think that you bring something different to the table that people would agree with, then why not put it out there? I'm sure so many people think the exact way you do, or maybe not even the exact way you do. Maybe people think the way you want to think. Sometimes they just don't have a voice, and that's kind of like what I want to provide for people, to let them know that it's okay to not go with the norm. It's okay to look within yourself and say, I can be better, I can change, I want to change. That's where it all starts. If you want to change, and if you're having a rough time, my ex broke up with me, whatever it could be, you have to, that is the number one. Forget what I said about the most important thing is talking it out. The most, absolute most, and that's not saying don't do what I just said, but the most important thing that you want to do, and if you want to change, is accept the fact that you want to change. That's where it all starts. In your mind, something has to click, something has to switch off, something has to like drive you to want to be a better person. And I'm not saying that you have to go out there and, become rich, because a lot of people don't, and that's okay. Like, but you have to accept the fact that who you were before might not be who you are going to be 10-20 years down the line. But hopefully somewhere along those 10-20 years, you're going to become better in some way that you didn't even think was possible. Because honestly, where I'm at right now, and if you look back through all my podcasts, I don't think I was necessarily as, like, I don't think I conveyed myself properly. I don't think I said the things that, like, I was actually thinking. Or let me rephrase that. I don't think I was saying things the way I was thinking of saying them. I don't know if that makes sense. But what I mean by that is, like, I don't think I'm as quiet as to what I believe now, because I genuinely believe that things that I say will help, are beneficial, whatever. I think my thoughts and opinions, whether nobody listens to me or not, they're effective. And whether I affect one person or two, and I've always said this, that's a win for me. And if if somehow out there I can affect one person, and they look back at even just this video and be like, something he said or what he said made me want to become a better dad, even just that simple quote. And sometimes people just need to hear that. Sometimes people just need to hear something that they can hold on to, that makes them think, okay, that makes sense to me, and I need to drive it. And that simple quote, be the dad that you want to be the parent that you want to be, that has stuck with me, like, since my son was born. That, I don't remember when I heard that, but I remember hearing it, and it's affected me like my whole life. And I think in a good way, in the best way possible. Had I not taken the time, because me and my son's mom aren't together anymore, but had I not taken the time, like I said, to self-reflect and be like, this is where I was wrong, this is where I could have been better, I don't think I would have changed. And sometimes it's hard. It's hard to let go of a person, you know? They mean so much to you, and sometimes they kind of just seems like they go away. And like I said, that's okay. You are going to go on regardless. There is an idea that when somebody commits suicide, when they go up into heaven or whatever's up there, their soul is taken care of, but the reason they committed suicide is because they've had to relive that moment over and over because they did not learn their lesson. And their souls that are damaged, their souls that are bruised, their souls that are just abused. And if you are contemplating something like that, whether it's a suicide, whether it's a murder, whatever it could be, think of that. Like, what if instead of there being a God or anything like that, we just have to relive the same lessons over and over till we get them right? And that idea has made me think of things differently. You know, I don't want to be the type of person to look back and think, wow, like I really did that, you know? And anyways, so at my job, I had this just this coworker who somebody he knew passed away, and he was like really beat down about it. He was like, I miss him. And then also my brother too, he had a certain somebody that he knew pass away as well, and they both handle it differently. But back to my coworker, he just stopped showing up. I think he was just that distraught about it. And how I always think of it is, if that person, if there is a heaven and they can somehow look at you or whatever there is out there, if they can somehow have a camera on you and see you from up there, wherever they are, or down there, whatever, sideways up, if they could have a camera and see you and see that you're depressed, like, doesn't that make you kind of feel like, wow, like, I don't think any person that died would want their children or their friends or anybody to be sad about them passing. Especially, I mean, sadness is normal. Let me rephrase that. Sadness is normal. But I'm saying I don't think anybody would want to see you all, you know, all suicidal just because somebody passed away, or all sad because somebody left, or you stop showing up to work, you stop doing the things you care about, you get fat, you get skinny, you get into drugs. Like, imagine if you passed away and you had a kid and you saw that kid become something that you did not raise them to be just because you saw them, just because you passed away. I think we have to instill the fact in people and in our kids that when somebody passes away, we have to be better. We have to be stronger. We should be the things that they wanted us to be. And it's tough. Like, I'm not saying it's easy. Like, not too long ago, I've had two friends that I hadn't spoke to in a while. But I went to school with them when I was younger, you know, when I was in junior high school. And for a bit, it made me think, like, they were my age, you know? Like, I can't picture not being here. And it's like, what if this paradise that we look up to, this heaven, this earth, like this God, what if it's here? What if we're meant to be everything we wanted to be? Just we let people along the way tell us that we can't, that we can, tell us that things are right, things are wrong. But, there's just something about seeing your little kids' eyes glow up whenever they see you. That to me is better than any heaven that I could think of. Because if I'm somewhere else and my kid ain't there, like, I don't think that would be necessarily a good heaven. I have been under like the thought of we have to enjoy every day and every moment. And I mean, unpopular as he is, there's this Andrew Tate quote that I saw where he says, a bad day's coming. Somebody's gonna die, somebody's gonna cry, we're gonna lose our parents, we're gonna lose a job, we're gonna lose a relationship. A bad day is gonna come. So why not just enjoy these moments? Like, I'm here enjoying this time. Like, it's snowing outside, but hey, we're here. I'm talking to you guys. If I can put these out a little more often, well, I'm gonna put these out more often, I should say, because I love this. This is my passion. This is what I want to do. I think I have very strong ideas, and not only that, I don't think I'm the person who lets themselves get taken down so easily. Whether somebody wants to attack me or not, I think I can prove what my ideas are, and whether you want to change me or whether somebody has a different opinion, I'm willing to hear you out. But I'm not going to go down so easily. And that's a thing that I think is different about me. That I'm the same person online, in person, at the store, at the movie theater, whatever it could be. I'm the same person. And I never know if these are going to go anywhere, but if they do one day, and I hope they do, I obviously you don't want your work to like go unappreciated or anything, but I just like the fact and would like to think that if I could just get through to one person, then it makes it all worth it. And that being said, it has made me think a lot of like, sometimes we wish things were different, but I think if everybody piled up their problems into one big pile, everybody in the world was like, here's my bills, whatever, here's the abortion I got, here's whatever, all the problems in the world, you would look at everybody's and be like, shit, and take your shit right back and keep it, because you know that those are yours. You don't want anybody else's. Sometimes the idea of things are better on the other side, or if I do this, things are going to get better. It's like, why not just appreciate what you have, And not everything has to work out. Not everything has to be the way that you want it to be. I mean, life's unfair, but that's kind of good that it's unfair, We have to accept the fact that we're not only not going to change people most of the time, but if they leave, the next time they see us, or if they ever see us again, we have to be a million times stronger than they ever thought we could be. And if things do go your way and you decide to go back, or whatever it could be, you did go back to that job, or whatever it could be, like, I'm going to put so much effort into it that I'm new. I'm going to be new. You're not even going to recognize me from how much I've grown as a person, how much I've adapted to things that I never thought I was going to get over. And things go on. Things change. Yeah, I will always say this, and I think that there's genuinely like good in the world. People will overcome all the bad always. And there's a lot of people who say like things were better back then. I wish things were like this, but I think we're living in an amazing time right now. I mean, no other time in the world have we had like the ability to just speak out in the way that we do, to make people think the way that we do. I think that our time is the best time to live. Sure, if you look at it like things a thing, like economy or president, whatever. If you look at it like that, but ultimately, you single-handedly, like, what can you affect? You could be mad at all these things in the world, but if you like sit down and write everything you're mad about and if your list was like this of all the things you were mad about, if you look back and think, how can I realistically affect like any of these for the better, your list would go from like this to like this. Because sometimes we worry about things that are like out of our control. Sometimes we worry about things that will just never change, and that's okay. Like I said, life is unfair, but sometimes we have to deal with that. And maybe that's a big issue now. Maybe it's a big issue that we don't want to. We want it to be as fair, and I mean, realistically, in a good world, everybody would have all their food taken care of, but you just need a drive, man. You need a drive to get you out of bed, and it's not even that you want to, it's that you need to. And I think that's a good, like, that's a great thing. That, back to what I was saying about Andrew Tate, is like, that's a great thing that he's putting out. He said something that said, the guy who goes to the gym every day, regardless of how he feels, will outbeat the guy who goes to the gym only when he wants to. And that doesn't necessarily just apply to the gym. That applies to everything. The guy who goes to work will outwork the dude who doesn't go to work, you know? You just have to get up and say, this is what we're doing, regardless of how I feel, regardless of how you feel, tomorrow's coming, you know? There's always going to be a new day, and there's always going to be something to complain about. But whether you get up every day and think, damn, I really did get up and do something that I didn't want to do, that's you. You did that. Nobody could take that away from you. And I think that's a powerful message that everybody should learn. And it's not that I support anybody. It's not that I'm trying to like promote anybody. But sometimes, like I said, people we don't like say some crazy things, and sometimes they just turn out to be true. There's a lot of people I don't agree with that have said some things that really changed the way that I view things. And, you know, take that as it may. And just basically out of this podcast is just try to be better every day, little by little. That's my message for today. What is it? Wednesday. We're on Wednesday, November 2nd. I don't know when this will come out. Probably today. I don't know. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was really nice talking to you and getting things out there that I've been wanting to say. And if you guys saw last time, I tattooed myself, and I guess that's how the healing process is going. There's still like, it's still kind of peeling a little bit, but looks better, I guess. But yeah, it was nice talking to y'all, and it was nice just being here again, you know. Appreciate every day, and I guess we'll catch you next time. Thanks everybody for listening to the podcast. I don't know podcasts, again, they're going to be on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. And again, I'm going to start to try to put like reels out, because I think like with people just scrolling, that'll make like my points get across a little more, but I don't know. We'll see what happens day by day. And yeah, it was really nice talking to you guys, and I'll catch you guys next time.